Chapter 26.
If we did all the things we are capable of doing, we would literally astonish ourselves. Thomas Edison. Pulling on my rubber wetsuit, I'm looking forward to another dive with Scarface. Not that it is his real name. I don't think the big fish cares what I call him. He just wants to be friends and maybe share some of my lunch. I have a half-pound block of cheese stuffed inside the front of my wetsuit. The smell, even underwater, will be
Irresistible to the 150-pound grouper. You better hope that the chef doesn't notice that someone is stealing his cheese, cautions Jean Michel. Actually, he thinks Capkin has been raiding the refrigerator in the middle of the night, I answer with a grin. Why do I always have to be the one who gets blamed for missing food? Complains Capkin. He's holding a waterproof case that looks surprisingly like a lunchbox. Taking down a snack? Asked Jean Michel. It's just some leftovers for the fish, Catkin beams. Stepping to the edge of Alcyon's stern, he leaps into the water before anyone can ask him questions about missing food. Rapidly, the rest of the five-man dive team follows. We are at Rowley Shoals, an isolated chain of reefs several hundred miles from Australia's northwestern shore. Beneath the windship, there is a rather unique underwater spot called Grouper Hole. It is a small piece of reef which is home to a dozen large groupers who don't seem to mind a little human companionship. Dive boats regularly bring tourists out to swim with the big fish, and we're here to document this special relationship. Descending down into the clear, cool water, it isn't long before the first of the big groupers arrives. Capkin doesn't notice its presence until he feels an abrupt tugging on his box. Turning in midwater, he looks in surprise and finds that one of the giant groupers has its big lips wrapped completely around his lunchbox. Jerking back doesn't free the hostage box. Finally, he places a thinned foot against his big lips' nose and pries the box free. However, this does not end Capkin's problems. The fish is extremely eager to latch onto the lunchbox again. Capkin tries hiding it behind his back, but other arriving groupers instantly target the tempting lunchbox. Finally, Capkin wedges himself against the reef and carefully opens the box with the intent of offering a small handout. The open box is irresistible for the grouper gang as the big fish descend aggressively on Capkin. Groupers do not bite as much as they inhale. They open their massive mouths a full foot or more, then, like giant vacuum cleaners, suck in their prey. In this case, the prey consists of leftover tuna from lunch and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in plastic wrap that Capkin may have actually been saving for himself. In trying to save the sandwich, he only manages to rescue the empty plastic wrapper. Having pillaged Capkin's lunch, it doesn't take the groupers long to figure out who is holding the cheese. I quickly break the block of cheese into smaller pieces, which I attempt to share one at a time. However, I soon realize that fish are not aware of the concept of sharing. After pillaging me, the groupers quickly examine each member of the team to make sure no one else is holding any more goodies. Some of the big fish instantly lose interest in the now foodless divers and swim off, but half of them remain to play. Each of us divers soon has a fish friend. Capkin's fish buddy is a sleek teenager. They chase each other about the reef playing hide and seek. Meanwhile, I smile at Scarface as he swims up for little attention. He particularly likes for me to scratch around his gills. Scarface is a very ugly fish. Fortunately, he isn't aware of his horrendous looks. The big fish has a rather nasty scar on his forehead. It looks like he may have tried rubbing up against a spinning propeller. Well, fish are not known for being very bright. Speaking of which, I notice that Jean Michel is getting more attention from a grouper than he may have planned for. His fish likes him so much it is demonstrating mating behavior. This consists mainly of color changes in its skin tones, but it also includes a rather odd ritual of bumping its belly against the top of Jean Michel's head. The rest of us divers find this harmless behavior very amusing. Our only regret is our limited bottom time, which causes us to depart our first fish friends and a half hour later. After dinner, I go to the stern of the Winship to watch the sunset and find Jean Michel staring idly out at the sea. What are you thinking about? I asked. The groupers, Jean Michel answered. This spot is so unique. How many places in the world do you know of where humans and fish are friends and actually play together? I don't know of any place, I reply. Usually, if a fish gets too close to a person, it winds up in a frying pan. Exactly, Jean Michel sadly replies, which is what worries me. Something wonderful and totally unique is happening here. Yet one idiot with a spear gun could completely wipe out every one of these groupers in half an hour. How do we prevent that? I asked candidly. My father once said that people protect what they love. Jean Michel replies, it's the answer if any if enough people see our film and realize how important these fish really are, they may insist on this reef becoming a protected sanctuary. An incoming radio call puts Jean Michel away. Standing at the stern, watching the fiery red globe of the sun descend into the quiet sea, I stare at the light dancing on the water and think about the groupers swimming quietly below. If the friendly residents of the grouper hole can survive, these few fish can awaken in man a new appreciation of our own lives and for the incredible wonder of one of God's creations. To save these few fish would be a tiny investment, but the potential rewards for the spirit of mankind are astonishingly huge. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that you will not have room enough for it. Malachi 3:10-12.